Hello and welcome. I am the Restless Kaiser.
And I'm Johnny B.
I'm Clueless Mike.
I'm Jason Brad.
But together we are
modelling for advantage.
And I stole John's line there, having rehearsed it. Oh, what an idiot. Right, just quickly before we begin then, guys, just a quick round of table. What's everyone doing tonight? I am going to be chopping up some Celt stroke goals for SPQR because I'm going to crush Johnny B's camp-looking Romans.
I've heard people mention SPQR on the channel many times. What does it stand for? I just wanted to ask the question at this point. What on earth does it mean?
Senators, publicus, up your queer up the thingy. What is
Senate it? And the people of Rome.
Okie dokie. Sorry, John, I stole your thunder. What are you painting, mate?
Such a douche. I'm painting Romans, all right?
Oh, it was on topic. It was a good segue.
Exactly.
I am supposed to be painting Mortarion, but I'm procrastinating as usual. I mean, he's reasonably painted at this point. Lots of bits are done, but he's really complicated.
Where?
I'll bring it close. Look at these wings. These have got like 10 layers of paint on them. Look, his purple robes are all nice and pink and stuff.
We did have a New Year's resolution video where you said you were going to paint Mortarion, and he did look a lot like that at that stage.
No, he's got a lot more done. He's going to be done. But I'm actually going to paint a small Space Marine, well, a Space Marine Terminator with a banner, because it's a red Space Marine, and you know I do like painting them.
And Jason?
I've got a smorgasbord of stuff in front of me here. I've got halflings. I've got a chicken coop. I've got Song of Fire and Ice miniatures. I've got undead miniatures. I've got all sorts of stuff going on in front of me.
Very nice. Okay, so that's what we're doing today. For those of you that don't know, Clueless Mike does a lot of the Warhammer stuff with us on the channel. Fundamentally, in 8th edition, John and I just about knew what we were doing. When 9th came along, we just lost the plot completely. But Clueless Mike is a Warhammer nut and a small tournament hustler who really knows the rules. So that is his key contribution. If you watch our 40k content, you'll have seen him quite a bit. But to introduce Jason then, Jason, you don't contribute that often to the channel. You do from time to time. And I know you're doing a bit of work for me at the moment on Song of Ice and Fire. So if I make you nice and big, why don't you tell these beautiful people who you are, what you do, and why you are so astonishingly handsome despite your COVID haircut?
I know those glasses are messed up, but I didn't know that messed up. Well, okay. So I'm obviously Jason Proud. And I am a commission painter and a YouTube battle reporter. And I work part-time for board game companies, one being Lucky Duck Games, another being Firestorm Games. And I do all sorts of stuff. My YouTube channel was primarily for battle reports, which John and Mike have both been on. We need to get the Kaiser on as well. Get him to playing some historical games on there. And commission-wise, you see on my Facebook page, you can see all the stuff I do there. It's I paint for a lot of different companies and people, and it's just a lot of stuff going on. Funny enough, the lockdown has actually kept me more busy than I've ever been before. So, yeah, that's it.
So the commission painting that you do, obviously a lot of us have thought about doing this. We're like, oh, maybe I could just paint for a living and give up the day job driving a taxi or selling peas to idiots or whatever it is that we all do. Tell us a little bit about the life of a commission painter. Are you fabulously wealthy?
No, not at all. Funny enough, the commission painting thing started on a sort of a slight. I used to run a game shop. And that's where I met a lot of my gaming friends, including John and Mike. And when it wasn't really busy, I thought, I got a lot of dead time. There's only so much time you can stock shelves and order things and stuff like that. So I wanted to do some extra money on the side while I'm waiting. So I started a commission painting service. And then we had started a family, and it became easier for me to just paint from home while my other half kept her job, which was working at the hospital. So I looked after the kids during the day and painted during the day, and it just got busier and busier. And as things happen, when you paint things and it gets out there on the internet, then more people see it, and then more people contact you, and it just snowballs like that. But other than that, I wouldn't say you have to be very determined to do this as a job, because we all like to paint our own stuff, and painting someone else's stuff, it's fun when you're painting the miniatures and stuff, but once you have to give it away back to the
yeah, that must be.
Yeah, I couldn't do that.
It's pretty painful. I mean, sometimes you paint something really cool, really awesome, and you're like, oh man, this is so cool. And then you go, right, I want to do one of these. So you paint it up really cool, you send it back to them, you get yourself one, and then you never paint it.
Yeah, you've already done it, right? You've already done it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's Jason, guys. The two channels you have two channels, don't you? You have a channel called Battle Nights and a channel. Oh, or is it three? Painting Nights and Gaming Nights.
I got Battle Nights, which is my war game YouTube channel. Then I got Gaming Nights, which is my board game review channel. And then Painting Nights is my Facebook page where I do all my commission stuff on there.
Yeah. So, and if people see your stuff and they're like, oh, I want to get this guy to paint some stuff for me, you don't just paint for private commissions, you paint for some of the companies. So I know you've been doing like if you look at the Halfling range from TT Combat, for example, on their website, you painted those miniatures.
Yeah, because I'm more involved in the board game company. I've painted for a lot of different board game companies, including I painted the Super Fantasy Brawl stuff for the Mythic Games UK. I painted a load of stuff for Alicat Games, for Mantic Games. I painted for them as well.
For Mantic, yeah.
Yeah, I did all the scenery. I painted for we paint for Bad Squiddo Games. All the scenery range for Bad Squiddo Games is done by Painting Nights. All of it is done actually by Carla, my partner. She does all the Bad Squiddo stuff. She's their personal scenic range painter. So it's the two of us that do it, not just myself. And I'm hitting a blank now, but I know I've done loads of stuff more.
One of the interesting things I found, Jason, you've told me about in the past, is the fact that some game companies now do Kickstarters where they give away, or people pay to have you paint their kind of like miniatures they earn in the Kickstarter. Yeah,
we did a one recently. There was a Irish company. I'm trying to think of what the company's called now, but the game was called Mornquest. Backspindle Games. They did a Kickstarter for their new Irish adventure board game called Mornquest, and they did a pledge where you could have the game bought on Kickstarter, then sent to us. We painted it and then sent it back to them for them to send it back to you. And I think we did 10 or 15 copies of that through that Kickstarter. And there's another one coming up soon for a zombie game called Z War 1, where we did the same thing. But that is tough, though. I tell you what, when we started the first time, they said to us, "Oh, do you want to do this Kickstarter pledge thing where we paint it?" And I was like, "Yeah, why not? That's a good chunk of money to come in at one time, or a lot of confirmed business." And then we got to painting 15 copies of Mornquest.
How many miniatures in one copy?
I think there was maybe 25 to 30. Was it 30 miniatures? Something like that. 30 miniatures. There's something like 10 characters. And then there was about 25 to 30 minions of 5 to 6 different variants. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot on one, but do that times 15, doing 15 copies of the same.
Exactly the same models as well. So there's no variation, not even a similar model with a different pose, an exact same model.
Because you have to advertise this is what this model is going to look like, right? So you need to paint it the same way.
Yeah, same colors, everything.
Yeah. Okay. That was comments there, if I can, for a moment. So Duncan FX, perfect first question tonight. When is Clueless Nights coming back? So what is Clueless Nights, Mike?
So Clueless Nights was a series that Jason and I did on his channel, which was basically him and I, and it was set out that we would talk for half an hour a month on news in the hobby.
Oh,
I think the shortest one was about 2 hours.
I used to watch that. You did it a year or two ago. I thought that was a really good show, and then it disappeared after about 5 episodes.
Well, that's Jason's fault. Jason took a break from doing wargaming stuff for about a year, didn't you, mate?
Right.
Yeah.
Jason, you should be teasing Mike with a Helldrake. More on that later, perhaps.
I bet that was it, was it?
It's funny that just before this episode started, Kaiser was telling us that Mike and I need to zip it for most of the because we like to chat too much. Brought it back to the Clueless nights where me and Mike would just start talking, and then it's like, right, Carla would come up. Are you two still talking?
So we've got Mark here is building some bolt action commandos. How are yours coming along, John? Have you got anything to share with the commando front?
Most probably not to look at, but I have added to them. So I had the 10 that featured in It Came From the Sea, one of our lockdown videos way back when, you know. I've added another 10 commandos with SMGs, and I've done some extra teams. So I've got a boys anti-tank rifle, light mortar, and
all the quality
2
weapons.
LMG.
Boys anti-tank rifle, 2-inch mortar. We're going to take on the right with this.
Exactly, all of the crap stuff.
All the crap stuff. Yeah.
But yeah, that's sort of fallen by the wayside as I'm doing these Romans now for SPQR, and I'm quite focused on getting that done. So
we've gone in for this SPQR. We're going to hit it hard. Miller's good evening there, buddy. What was this? Painting some Bad Squiddo miniatures currently. Oh, James has got the lady sniper team in the scouts. I am going to bet that he's not going to paint the amoeba camouflage on those.
Camouflage. I've only ever painted that on Space Marine Scouts, and well, not a fun thing to paint.
It's not easy camouflage.
No, I find that German camouflage, the one with all the dots. Oh my gosh, that's really hard.
Camouflage. Yeah.
In regards to that, Jace, so as a commission painter, if somebody comes to you and says, I want this model painted, and it's just a normal paint job on it, so like a cloak, just normal brown cloak, whatever, and if somebody comes and says a camouflage, is that a big markup in price, or do you just do size of model? Doesn't really matter what they want?
For the most part, it's just the same. I have this ethos that I try for my thing is that, you know, that saying where they go, you can have something, there's the 3 things, it's fast, cheap, and what was the other one? Fast, cheap, and good.
There is another one, isn't there?
Yeah,
fast, cheap, and quality.
Quality, yeah. And you can't have all 3 of those things. Well, I get the premise of that, but I try and keep it in the middle of the road for all 3 of them. So you can have it affordable, reasonably fast, and reasonably good quality from us. And so I tend to try and add little blemishes. That's not the right word.
You don't have blemishes.
Blemishes, no, flourishes.
Flourishes. That's the word. That's right. I try and add as many flourishes as I can to a miniature for the same price as what I would charge if the customer didn't want that flourish. Just to add that quality. But at the same time, we're not talking about, you know, like my studio is not, say, for example, like Roglin's studio, where, you know, they're so good at painting those miniatures that it would take me weeks to paint it like that. Whereas, you know, I'm trying to get it done in a day or 2, because obviously time is money.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean that's the thing with miniature painting, isn't it? It's the thing about the extraordinary amount of time on it. So just a couple of things more from the chat. Lucy and George saying he had to join us in the shout, modeling for advantage. Mate, she's a true fan. I see Alid is here tonight. More on that in a second. This is one for you, John. Rich John says, you guys still able to get together for bolt action games? How about some tactics or unit review videos? Do you reckon you could give us some tactics videos, John?
You're having a laugh. Tactics? What's
roll
that?
More 6s, right? That's your plan.
Mate, it's roll 6s and, I don't know, confuddle your opponent with really stupid moves and, you know, make them believe that you've got some master plan, but really you just haven't got a clue on how to play a game. Any of them. That's my tactic.
What I find, though, John, is we haven't played together for quite a few years now, is you've started to become more concerned about the fact that you're crap, and you stop and think, and that really longs out the games, man.
Oh,
It doesn't change the results.
Well, I stop. I don't think. that's the problem. There should be a second step to that process, but it doesn't happen. No, I am a bit concerned about it, because it's a bit crap, isn't it, having the British lose every single game? So I have to cheat and bring exactly. I got to bring Forge World. I got to bring the pay to win items. You know,
bring the pay to win items.
It does make it a bit more special when he wins, though, which doesn't happen often. But when he does, there's a proper cheer when you're watching it.
True.
I have two things I do. One is, if in doubt, give it a clout, or make sure Mike loses.
If ever Jason and I are playing a massive multiplayer board game and there's some opportunity to dick somebody over, Jason will just hone in on me and attempt to drag Martin in with him.
I don't care who's winning, so long as Mike gets the beating. Just trying to say, it's not because I'm bullying Mike, it's because Mike's really good at games.
Phil Papercut mentioned this. So they're not on camouflage, a personal motto. About 15, 16 years ago, I lived on the Isle of Wight, and there's a chap called Lee who now does quite expensive commission painting, did some work for me. And he painted these. I don't know if you can see them, but these are exactly what you're talking about. They've got that Fallschirmjäger camouflage. You can't really see the lines on them.
We need to focus a bit better there.
Yeah,
with the little like rain stripes.
It's really good. And this was at this time he was just kind of getting into the commission painting thing. He did these for like £2 a miniature. I was like, mate, I was amazed at the quality of it. And now I was like, I'm never adding another Fallschirmjäger to that late war list because I can't paint to that. And it cost me 15-20 quid to get somebody else to do that. But fortunately, he did paint a lot. We used to hang out in the store at lunchtime on a Friday there. And he would pop in because he worked in a motorcycle repair shop around the corner. And we're just like, oh, Lee, what do you reckon? I'll get you them ones, and then you can paint these ones for me, that kind of thing. And he basically used to paint to get money to go to Salute with. Awesome. So he'd be like, I need this. I did want to say, we'll go back to the comments in a minute. I did want to say, last week, Al had watched the show, who's a lovely Welsh boy, and he bought this from our online shop, which is great. This is the Team Yankee starter set. It can be yours too. We do still have in the online store some Flames of War and Team Yankee stuff at last year's prices. For anyone that doesn't know, the prices all went up in January. So the big starter armies went to 80 quid, and the Team Yankee and the Flames of War Hit the Beach went up to 42. Now, if we've got stock from last year, you can still buy them at that price if we've had to replace them. But interestingly about Allard, and this is why he's on the show, is he said, because he's a lovely boy, he said, I only need the Soviets. Why don't you boys keep the rest? I was like, we've already got a Team Yankee American Army, and I can't persuade any of these guys to play it anyway. So what we've done is we've got it here as a giveaway for tonight. So if you are interested in receiving the US half, now there's a slight change, but that is to make it more useful. I had a bit of a look through my sprues. So what you're going to get in tonight's giveaway is you are going to get 5 US M1 Abrams tanks, and with those Abrams tanks, there's a little bit of resin, which is like an extended power pack to make the HC version. Apparently makes it more fuel efficient when it's idling. It just comes on the back. But this is a new part that comes with those. So there's 5 Abrams tanks, and there is also, what have I done with them? 2 US Bradleys. We also had a bit of a route around in the bits box to make it more useful. So you're going to get the unit cards, you're going to get the Team Yankee rulebook, you're going to get the American Commander sprue, and a set of 20 of the Team Yankee dice. So if you would like to be entered into the prize draw, which will be done on slips of paper in this month during tonight's episode, say in the comments, I love Team Yankee, and I will add you into the draw, which we will do later. Right.
Excellent. So, always good to have a giveaway.
Always good to have a giveaway. But this is a giveaway entirely sponsored by Alid, who I had seen was in the channel earlier. So thank you for that, mate. And
well done, Alid.
Let's go back to the thing. So you've also did some work for Terrain Crate. Is that right, Justin?
Who's Justin?
Jason.
Terrain Crate. Yes. No, wait. Yes, I have. Yeah.
Technically, yeah.
I painted. In fact, John helped me on those.
I did. Thank you. I got a bone to pick with you. In your latest update video, your diary, you mentioned two two ambulances that you painted for Dice Hospital.
Yeah, you did those, didn't you?
Yes, I did. Yes, thank you. Yes, I did. Cheers.
You did. I remember you did a really good job on those, mate.
Yeah, I know. I did. Yeah.
Was this from a year or so ago when you were super duper busy and you had to draft in extras?
He was.
I did. Yeah. I went through a bit of a phase when the expo was really picking up, and loads of companies from the expo. Every time the expo came around, the load of the companies wanted to show off new games and stuff and have their demos pimped out, the demo tables pimped out. So they would contact me and go, right, can you get this done for the expo? But some of them don't realize how long painting actually takes. So they would contact me like a week before the expo and go, can you have this painted and bring it with to the expo? And I'd be like, sure, why not? John!
That may surprise you. That may surprise you that he's asking for me to paint stuff with a deadline. I can do it when motivated.
Yeah. The motivation was, if you don't do this, I'm going to beat you.
That was the main motivation. Yes.
Now you know, Kaiser. That's how you need to do it to him.
He's bigger than me and a lot quicker, despite his disabilities, being ginger and all. So Space 8001 says,
I thought he was talking about me being fat.
Looking at getting no criticism from me there. Space 8001 says, I'm getting into bolt action and I want to have an airborne army, but can't decide between US and British. Any advice? So I certainly play bolt action. John plays bolt action. I've seen you play a few games of it on your channel. I think, Jason, and you got a load of Germans in half tracks.
He's got US.
Yeah, I love the Yanks.
You love the Yanks. Go US. So I think the American ones are a lot easier to paint, I would say, because the British have got they've got camouflage smocks, and the collars are a little bit unusual. You're likely to have to go out and buy 3 specific Vallejo paints, but those red berets do look sweet on the table, though. If you want a model now, to be honest, they didn't actually wear them in combat. They wore helmets, obviously, but you can have them all in red berets, and they look sweet. The
US special rule is really good though as well. You can move and shoot without any penalizations with rifles. That's really good.
Yeah, it's interesting how that's a special rule, because what that's trying to simulate is the fact that the Americans have got the Garand, which is a semi-automatic rifle, not a bolt action. They can just fire off the full clip. Click. So why is it not a different weapon? I found that a little bit odd, to be honest. But yeah, for me, it would definitely be British because of the sweet berets, but the Americans are much easier to paint. I have just finished to hit the beach, a bolt action army from the Band of Brothers start set, the US Airborne, because we did start a game with James, and we were about to do a series before we got hit in the lockdown. J Business box of shite unboxing, and now off boxer models. Ambassador,
you enjoy that?
That is Andy Hilton. So Johnny B's box of shite. Is there anything in there that you're going to use, John?
I might use the Aces dice.
It's a Warlord Mystery Box Season 2, right?
Yes, that is correct. Yeah. At a slight slip, I say it's £45. It might be with postage. It's actually only retails for £40, and you're guaranteed £85. Now, some of the other ones I've seen, there's been some good ones, like full boxes of Soviet infantry. Like 2 rule books in the bottom, loads of really cool, useful stuff. I think I just got a dud, if I'm honest.
Mystery boxes from all companies like that are always, you always think, God, it's like opening a magic booster from back in the day. You always think, I'm gonna get it.
Listen, that is solely why I got it. It was my birthday. I bought everything that I want. So the missus was like, "Come on, I need to get you something." I was like, "Well, here you go. Here's 40 quid. Just buy me a random box." And it was a bit of genuine excitement opening that box.
Yeah.
And then deflation afterwards.
Oh yeah, immediately. 30 seconds of fun, mate. It's like, an average Saturday night for me.
To be fair, you pay exactly one army of one Warlord game. So
exactly,
something you wanted was quite low.
Yeah. Well, another reason why I did it is I thought maybe I'll get something that will inspire me to start another collection. I mean,
that's probably why they sell them, because they want people to buy them and go, "I've got these miniatures now. All I need is that book or that thing to go with them."
The irony is, every other box I've seen online, everyone gets a whole heap of Terminator Genesis miniatures, extra Terminators, extra
Resistance that game.
I was just going to say that as well. I was like, me and you, the only people have actually played that game, and you didn't get any.
I got butter churns.
I was going to say, what you've got some of the Warlord cows though, mate, so you can put them to use, right?
Yeah, I think if anything, then that will be the only item I actually keep.
The butter churns. This is what saying earlier. He said, "When's John bringing that stuff around for me to eBay?" Lord, I am just working my way through. We're not getting any comments now, except I love Team Yankee.
But whose fault is that?
Yeah, should have waited to the end of the show.
But I have to write it all down. No, that's the problem.
Oh yeah, you better not miss anyone off.
Exactly. So what? Clueless Mike. Then, so one of the things I thought I would worth bringing up with you was about Games Workshop, their pricing model, and the Pariah Nexus, the new kill team. Because on the channel, we love a bit of kill team. I'm increasingly driven by low model count games. I like the smaller amount of preparation time for build, not just in terms of the models, but also like the list building. When you've got 10 models, 6 models to think about, it's a lot quicker. I increasingly prefer the Warcry type systems. Like, it's all on the card. That's what you go.
That's what I think they should do with Kill Team. I think Kill Team, certainly this newer set as well, I think it's a complete miss. It's a lot of money. I don't know, what was the price? We were kind of like debating it on WhatsApp, weren't we? What did it end up being?
95 in the end.
Which isn't awful if you just think of it compared to the price of miniatures you get inside, but you expect a big discount in box sets like that. But it's also, it's just a really poor Kill Team product, I think. I was reading a really interesting review of it earlier today, and you get a load of terrain, which is pretty useless. You get 2 sets of figures, the Necrons and the Space Marines. The Space Marines are about twice as many points as the Necrons, and it'd be a completely unfair fight if you bought it as any kind of starter set. And it's no kind of starter set. There's no basic rules in there to teach you how to play the game. It's just a money grab, really. I love Games Workshop. I love their products, but I don't like their money grabbing attitude in certain cases. And in this case, it really is very much. They know, especially these Space Marine heavy intercessors, they are a really wanted model. Everyone's been clamoring for them since 9th edition came out. And they stuck them in a box set where they're going to force you to buy a load of tat you don't need. And people are still going to do it. So they're going to make their money. And that means they'll do it again. It's really annoying.
I can't believe you're still surprised, man.
Aren't you? Those heavy intercessors in the real world, they're going to be out by themselves at some point.
2-3 months, maybe.
Do you really need to buy them? Yeah. Do you really need to buy them now? Considering no one is really playing any games for the next month or so, if they're playing by the rules of life and COVID. So I've never understood that, why you have to. And it's so many. It's completely rampant. And you only see it with Games Workshop products, 40k specifically. You don't see that with Bolt Action, or the Partisans are coming out. Oh, man.
But you do see it in the board game world, though. It's basically FOMO. It's just people, the fear of missing out.
So, right. I'm going to put the question, because I'm way behind on the comments now, and I'll come back to that. Quick question to the room. All thinking neutrals for Team Yankee, like Swiss, Swedes, Finns, Cold War. For me, I think they're going to be interesting. The problem is always that the model range isn't going to support them out there. And especially not if you hate dealing with things like resin and metal kits. If you want a new plastic easy to build kit from Battlefront or Plastic Soldier Company, you ain't gonna find a Swedish. You might find a Swedish STRV. Someone will do that, but pretty much the extended range. What about you, John? Man of
What was the
Nations.
question?
Yankee.
You what?
Neutral Nations in Team Yankee.
New collections in Team Yankee.
Neutral Nations.
Neutral nations. Kazakhstan.
That's part of the Soviet Union, you brat.
Switzerland, John. It's always Switzerland. They're always neutral.
Yeah, Switzerland. No, Bermuda.
Bermuda was part of the British Empire. Let's leave. Mike, you have mentioned a few times that if you were going to play another game other than Warhammer and all the role playing you do, it probably would involve tanks. You've never.
I love tanks.
I keep trying to push models on you, and you won't do it.
It's time, really, for me. I mean, I love any game I play. Really, I'm happy to play more or less any game. But it's more the time painting. I mean, if you went and found a teenage me and said, "Let's play this game. Here's some unpainted figures," I'd be excellent. But nowadays, I like to play with something that's painted, and the time I spend painting already is quite small. Trying to add any other games to that is not really a starter.
What you need is a commission painter.
That is true. What I need is more money than a commission painter.
I've already got to deal with Mike. What I've been doing is like he used to come around before lockdown. He used to come around to mine on Fridays, and we used to do battle reports. But I can't get in like Kaiser's. I can't get him to actually do anything else other than Red Marines. So the deal I came up with was I would paint both sides of a game system if he plays in the battle reports with me.
Damn right.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Kaiser's kind of had to do that himself with me because I don't paint that fast, and I am not willing to bring my standard to his. There's such a big gap that I'm just not willing to drop that far. So he's having to do a hell of a lot of painting, and I appreciate that because I enjoy playing games on the channel. Get my ass kicked. So thanks.
Michael Caine was with the Irish Guards in that movie, wasn't he?
Sean
Connery plays Frost, I think. Or
it's old Hannibal Lecter's.
Hannibal Lecter. Yes, he is. He is famous Welshman who doesn't sound in the least bit Welsh.
He's Odin.
Is he Odin?
He is also Odin.
Anthony Hopkins.
I didn't watch that movie.
Didn't watch 4. 4 is a great movie.
Is absolutely the best World War II movie ever. Bridge Too Far. It's not necessarily very accurate, but
I thought that Fury was the most accurate one.
Fury was the most accurate one.
We'll do a Fury episode at one point, but let's not spend the next half an hour talking about everything that's wrong. Mate, he loved them milk churns. He was well into that. Mini Walmart says he leaves Team Yankee. Mini Walmart, you are an addicted war gamer. You've only been doing it for a few months. You need to calm down, go home, and paint that Kirk model and finish the set.
Now you say Kirk model, are we talking Star Trek or?
Yeah, 8-inch plastic original series Star Trek lead characters, and he's built them all except the Kirk model. So it's like an ongoing. Yeah, it's like get that shirt off him and get him painted.
Yep.
34 amazing. But
smash him snogging a blue alien.
I am desperate to get my brother Mythos and the Freak on the show at some point. The American timing is a problem. So smash Mythos. Warlord Greek hoplites on the War Games Illustrated. Good. Robinson Wells hobby terrain. I have to write all of this down. You know, maybe you want to get put in the draw if your name is short.
4 letters or less.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lesson learned for next giveaway time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Eric Marcy, yes, Bridge Too Far is the GOAT, and what a cast! The GOAT.
I think what my favourite war movie is.
Yeah. Mine would be Inglorious Bastards.
Oh, I do like that. That is good. Yeah.
Yeah. My missus watched A Bridge Too Far maybe 15 years ago or so with me, and you know, it wasn't really the kind of movie, but it had loads of famous people, so she was reasonably engaged. But as they're going in for the drop, one of the guys has got a chicken as a mascot for the parachute drop, and you never see the chicken in the rest of the movie. And she was like, "What happened to the chicken? Do they know it can't fly?" It's like it wasn't an integral part of the story.
My wife's like that though. If there's a dog in a film, it could just be in the background, and there'll be something massively important happening, and she'll be like, "Oh, doggy."
Anyone know where Steve Harbour can find a ruined cart? So it's 28 mil, I assume. 28 mil.
Buy a full one and then step on it.
Buy a proper one. Well, just even a plastic cart then, because it's a lot harder to chop up a metal one. Plastic horse and cart.
Yeah, anything's easy to make look ruined.
Warhammer Quest.
There might be some
any interest in the new Warhammer Quest, Jason? You're a hobby butterfly. Them new vampire models. What do you reckon?
Say that again.
The new vampire.
I really like that set. I think it looks really. I think it looks really cool. The only thing I don't like out of that new set is there's zombies with the gravestones on their backs.
Oh yeah, they look stupid.
I've not seen them proper. I think I saw a silhouette or a very far away picture of them. I thought they looked a bit quirky.
Well, the theory behind it, or in the lore, is that the undead were rising from their graves. So when you die, they staked you to the tombstone. So they put stakes straight through the tombstone into your back while you're in the grave, so that you can't rise up. But the zombies just got up with the tombstone on their back now.
Because of the weight of the tombstone. Okay, well, that's different.
But zombies are pretty slow anyway. Now when you got a zombie with a freaking tombstone on their back, it's like they're no threat whatsoever, man. You can just walk past them.
I mean, that is a fabulous looking set, and it'll be interesting to see the price of it. But the models are so intricate, and I think Kaiser's mentioned this on the channel various times in the past.
There's gaming pieces and there's miniatures. They're not the same thing.
If I bought that, it would take me 2 years to paint it if I was painting nothing else. And that's just not feasible for me. So that puts me off buying it, the fact the models are too complex to paint.
It's especially irritating when you've got some models in the range are like that and others are not. And it's like, I don't want that model. I want that model in my army. I need it, really. But I found this with the Mournfang Banshees, with the Night Haunts. They're all like wrapped round with flowers and vines and railings and gravestones. And they're all blended in with them because they're supposed to be sort of spectral. It's like, God, this is a huge amount of work considering everything else has been sprayed white and had a rough coat of that Nylock oxide put over.
I was going to say, that's the simplest army in the world to paint, isn't it?
Not those particular models. On the subject of the British Tank in the World of Tanks starter set, so I don't know exactly which rattle can they've used or industrial spray, but there is at the factories the British tanks are sprayed in something. I think it's called a service drab, and it's a slightly greeny brown. But if you look for that color online, you will find examples of it, or in the Colors of War book that Flames of War do. I don't have mine up here, unfortunately, but that's what it is. And I'm not sure that it should be that color. I think you want to be painting them bronze green, to be honest, which is what I'll certainly be doing. Dragon Rampant Army. Yeah, so you play a lot of Osprey games, Jason. What's that about? What's the appeal of the Osprey game?
Well, I used to be a massive Warhammer fan, like Warhammer Fantasy. I'm a big medieval fan. I love medieval, Dark Ages, that sort of type of warfare, and the fantasy element added on top of that Dark Ages look was just the thing that appeals to me the most. I love the fact that, except for example, Dragon Rampant, where I got into that, is that you can make up your own forces and come together with really interesting storylines and themes for your armies and stuff. And once I tried Dragon Rampant, and then I tried Lion Rampant, me and John had a go at that, and I really enjoyed it. And then I thought, you know what, I'll try out some of the other Osprey books that they got. You know, I call it the Blue Book range, because they got a varied amount of stuff that you can do. And some of them are fun. They take like an hour to play. You don't need a huge investment of time or money, or even models for that matter. Some of them do, but not all of them.
Is it right that all the different kind of like games they do, they're not all kind of like linked at all? They're not made by one studio. They just publish for various other game makers. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah, the Rampant series is all designed by the same guy, Daniel Morrissey. But for example, there's a game I got on my shelf here called Of Gods and Mortals, which is made by a Games Workshop designer. I can't think of his name now. Andy Chambers, I think it was.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you get like different, and there's a YouTube channel called Gorilla Miniature Games. The guy runs that.
I might have heard of that, yeah.
Yeah, he does a couple of their rule sets. He does Last Days. He's just done like a mech type game. I can't think of what it's called now.
Gamma Wolf.
Gamma Wolves, that's it. So basically,
Cool
they
name.
take rule sets from any designer. The guy designed Billion Suns. I think his name's Mike Hutchison, is it? I can't remember now.
Possibly.
But he's done a previous rule set for them as well. So once you've got your foot in the door with them and you've made a few rule sets that they like, they start printing some more from you if they're looking for something. Like for at the moment, they got a new rule set for Napoleonic game coming out, and then later on they're doing a sort of like a werewolf vampire Napoleonic game. That sounds really cool as well.
And the rules are cheap as chips as well, so it's no problem picking one up and then not using it.
I think that's a lot of the part of the appeal. I mean, if I give you an example of those kind of things, I have heard over the past 5 or so years a great deal of talk about Gaslands. I have yet to see somebody play a game. I have yet to be told about somebody who has played a game recently.
That's the little one where you can convert kind of like toy cars to be miniatures, isn't it? Yeah. One of the podcasts I listen to, the hosts play that, or have said they'd like to play it, similar to yourself. I haven't heard them play it.
Yeah. Because I don't actually think it's a very good game. I think if I have an issue with those Osprey rule sets, is they all feel a bit old school and clunky. They don't have the speed. Now, Billion Suns is an interesting one because I watched, Jason just mentioned Guerrilla Miniatures, and he's done a playthrough of that game very recently. If you haven't looked at it, it probably isn't what it's being built as a spaceship combat game, but it isn't really a spaceship combat game. It feels a lot like it's a board game about running a mega corporation that runs contracts for spaceships, and it's got some very simple spaceship combat in it. But it's more about force allocation. So it's not. I might beat you and win the contract, but if I spent more on the fleet that won the contract than the contract was worth, do you see where I'm coming from?
Yeah, that's right. You've got to complete the mission, but also make a profit. It's quite an interesting little.
That does sound much more like a board game than a miniatures game.
Yeah, it sounds like a Euro game.
Yeah, it sounds a lot like a Euro game. And I think it could quite easily be something where there is a market in the middle and people put brown wooden blocks on it or red wooden blocks on it. Except there is you move up to 2 inches and can shoot 3 inches. But it's that kind of really micro combat where basically you have a fleet blob and I have a fleet blob. And I don't think the actual game is very tactical. It's the force allocation.
Yeah,
I would argue that 40k is about force allocation. It's not about tactics.
Yeah, it depends on the scale you play, but yeah, certainly 40k is a lot about list building, and I mean the most important phase of a game of 40k is the setup phase at the beginning. You can easily lose a game during that.
But you and I have shared this before and decided that
that's one of the reasons why I don't like 40k that much.
Yeah, you lost in the first turn all the time.
Yeah, I build my armies on like the really ridiculous themes and interesting looking models and stuff, and then here comes Mike with one model and flips over my tanks and destroys everything. And then I have to pick on him in the next game.
Yeah, that's how it works.
I played Full Thrust ages ago. I do wonder, is John Toffley still doing stuff? I know Ground Zero games still exists, but I don't know, are people still buying true 25mm scale sci-fi miniatures and 15s? I hope they are. Because this is really old school.
There's got to be someone out there still doing it.
Yeah, there'll be some game group somewhere that's in love with more or less every game.
Yeah, absolutely. Wheels of Terror. Now, that is not a film that I recognise.
Wheels of Terror? How's terror spell?
Can you not see the comments?
Oh, well,
I'm just not looking.
Right, okay.
Like terror.
Terror
Take
as in
a check. Take a terror check. Not as in Earth.
That's what I was thinking.
From GW, yeah. So is that not broadly what Gaslands is?
It is. I remember Dark Future. It was very similar to what Gaslands is. I wouldn't even be surprised if it was kind of like very much based on that.
Yeah, quite possibly. I never got to play it, but I was aware of it.
No, I
Is that
saw
because you
played it
because you never painted the miniatures?
You what? Who what?
You never got to play it. Is that because you never finished painting the miniatures?
No, I'm just a little bit too young. It came out sort of. I don't know when it came out. Like 80s, 90s, or whatever. Early 90s.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a game when I was a kid. It was out.
Yeah, it was a game. It was out when I first kind of like got into gaming. It was around.
Yeah.
Yeah, boy.
So I am going to do the draw for the Team Yankee bits.
Very exciting.
So going to be quite
exciting. Doing the drum roll
in 5 minutes, I think. So is if anybody didn't catch that earlier part of the show, tough mate, you weren't here. Lose out. No, we're giving away some Team Yankee American stuff, and you need to say I love Team Yankee in the comments to be entered into this paper cup. Where if I was cheating, I could probably read the names on the other side, but I'm not going to do that. You're going to see live what I do. All right. Yeah. So what might people be seeing from you in the coming weeks then, Jason? What are you on with at the moment? You're doing your weekly painting logs. Been seeing those, although we got 2 this week.
Yes, because we had some internet problems last week, so I didn't get last week's one up. But I put both of them up. I'm just filling out content of what I find interesting at the moment, because we can't do any. My channel's primarily battle reports, because that's what I love. I love playing games.
Yeah,
and I love making like narrative themes and worlds to games, and then playing like little mini campaigns and stuff based on that sort of premise.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I would like to do, but obviously because of lockdown, we can't play any games at the moment. So in the meantime, I've been putting up my painting diary. I do a little recap of everything I painted that week on a sort of a weekly basis, and then every bi-weekly I do like a little war game news video where I talk about some new products that come out.
Now, one of the things, we just had a big donation. Thank you very much. Jason comes on and we get a donation, mate. You do in your I'll come to that in a second. You do your like hobby news, and one of the companies always surprises me, and I forget what it's called. It begins with an M, and you seem to be really into them, and no one else covers them. Modifius, yeah. What is it about Modifius? What do they do, and why do they appeal to you? Or do they just commission you to do all the stuff? I don't know.
No. John will know why I like them. But they're predominantly a roleplay company. I don't really do roleplay as such. Not that I just never have been around to have the opportunity to. But they do Fallout, the miniatures game. And I am a massive, massive fan of Fallout, the computer game. So that's what drew me to them. And then also they, in December, they run a gaming convention in London called Dragon Meet.
Oh, yeah.
And I work there for the board game companies that I represent. I'm the events coordinator for those companies. So I go there and put on demos and stuff. Yeah, I put on demos and stuff of the new games that are coming out. And Chris Birch, who runs Modifius, runs Dragon Meet. So I met him there. And I suppose because of Dragon Meet, I get to see all the stuff that they do. And Fallout is obviously a big lure for me. And then, of course, they do the Elder Scrolls game, which is John's favorite game.
It is, but I don't know if I'd ever get into the miniatures game.
Yeah, the problem I have
can I just check something with you, Jason? How many times have you played the Fallout miniatures game that you're very excited about?
What, the actual miniatures game?
Yeah.
None. I've never played it.
Didn't think so. I remember you getting it and you were so excited.
Well, the guy is
it's still sitting over there, unpainted, unopened, nothing.
He's currently painting or working on 2 Song of Ice and Fire games and getting really stoked about what is it, Game of Thrones you've been saying in your videos.
Oh my God.
I'm never going to play that game, mate. I'm pretty confident. It looks all right.
I've gone so deep in the rabbit hole. I've watched the entire Game of Thrones seasons on TV again. Mm-hmm. I'm busy listening to the books on audio. I've been watching the lore videos on YouTube.
Oh,
I've been planning all these like campaigns and stuff. I bought the Baron's War rule set so that I could convert it into a Game of Thrones rule game.
Right.
Wow.
That is some deep diving.
Way down the rabbit hole.
Going to do the draw in 1 second. The last chance for anybody in the comments. I made an interesting observation on Game of Thrones because I watched it more recently. I didn't watch it when all the hype was. If something is really popular, I'm not interested in it, basically. But once all the hype had died down and so forth, I thought, okay, I'll go back and I'll watch this now.
That will explain your friendship with John.
And I noticed two things as the show went on. It's sort of got the first season compared to the later seasons it went on. One is the titty content went down massively as the show progressed. I mean, there's a lot of titties at the beginning, a lot less titties towards the end. But also, interestingly, the show also was less good. Now, I don't think that those two things are connected. I think that that's a writing issue in the later seasons. But I certainly felt as I was watching it begin, this is amazing. This is really good. And there's loads of titties in it. And as I get later, this is writing is terrible. And where are the tits? I don't know. Was I overvaluing? Because I like to regard myself as someone who's unmoved by such things in terms of my literary criticism. But I did make those twin observations.
Twin observation.
Yeah, a couple of things I want to say about it. So to come to Chris, that may be the biggest single donation we've ever had. Thank you very much, Chris. Good evening. I love Team Yankee too. So I'll put you in a draw there. It's going to look really rigged if you win, isn't it? I just wanted to say I love your content. Unboxings for the combat patrols was a huge help. It was interesting the way we did the combat patrols because we passed them around a little bit. So Clueless Mike did the Blood Angel one because he knows what he's talking about. So yeah, thank you for that. So I'm just checking the comments. There's Alid Roberts. Is that you, Alid? Is that the same Alid who did this? There can't be that many Alids that watch the show, right?
Has Alid entered and said he wants it?
No, I don't think he has. So let's have a quick look. Unfortunately, I could do with an impartial third party here, can't I? So what I'm going to do, you can see that I can't see what's going on. I'm going to draw off the top here, and the winner is the wrong way. Axe. Well done,
literally. Axe just commented, I have to go pick up my kid when we draw. So you know,
the way you're saying his name, it sounds like the Mars attacks Martians.
Mate, best war movie ever, Mars Attacks, right? I was at university at the time, or I just left, and I was in that, and it came out not long after Independence Day, didn't it? Or at the same sort of time?
Yeah, similar time.
Very contrasting movie. But with a lot of like rowdy undergraduates in Morecambe Cinema, because it's a quality place that was. Watching Independence Day, I the one thing that I remember distinctly was the loud cheer that went up in the auditorium when the White House got blown up.
Yep.
That's a really British moment, wasn't it? Like, yay! I kind of afterwards thought, no, that was supposed to be quite a dramatic moment, wasn't it? But
you had Americans crying watching that, and you're sitting there cheering. Yeah,
absolutely. All right, so already concentrating multiple other Soviet forces. Yeah, so Axe and Axe, get in touch, mate. I hope that you see this.
It looks like somebody's commented that they're going to get in touch and let him know. So
somebody knows him.
That's good.
We've got a contact us form on the website. That's the best way to get in touch with us because that comes direct into the inbox and that gets checked every single day. Obviously, we'll need to know your postal address. Game of Thrones is a
Let's hope he doesn't live in Outer Mongolia.
Yes. You know, like let's count as okay. Interesting. Going through the last of the comments. 5 minutes to go. Any closing remarks or thoughts as I just whiz through the comments? John.
No.
What have you seen? Show them what you've done.
What have I chipped with Rosie?
Hi, Rosie.
She's going to make me some tea, bless her. We've put a cupboard up. I did man things and put a cupboard up. What have I achieved? I've achieved painting the remainder of the shields for the SPQR, which was a question earlier, which I didn't answer. They are coming along for the Romans. So all I've got to do now is put the old decals on, which are a bitch. but I'm going to figure that out proper, and then do the weathering. Jobs are good and shields are done, and then I can work on the easy bits, which are the Romans themselves. So yeah,
I asked John earlier this week how he did the dirtying up of the shields, and you're not going to believe this. John, tell him the process. Go on.
Right. So what I should have done,
a little bit of dirt on the bottom of the shields.
That's all it is. What I should have done is got either Agrax, yeah, that would have been a good one. Another weathering method, maybe Mornfang Brown, and just give it a light dry brush at the bottom there. No, I didn't do that. I gave it some Vallejo environmental pigment, and it's completely the wrong one. It's engine grime, because that's the only one I had that looked earthy. So I did that, and then I got a stick, a thin stick, loaded it up with Vallejo rain marks, and then you get a brush. I'll show you. Get a brush, right, and it's loaded with the pigment, and you flick the little stick like that, and it splashes marks up the shield. And there you go. That's how to make what should be 3 minutes into 4 hours.
This is for a Roman legionary, mate. He's going to be painting a lot of these guys.
Yeah, you're going to need like 50 of them.
No, I only need 12.
Why?
Why?
Contrast paints. All right, so there's one. Jason's a commission painter. I'll go first. There's the last few minutes. I find them harder to use. Jason, in a sentence, contrast paints. What do you reckon?
I think they're just like any other paint. It's a tool in your armory. I don't think you could just use it on its own. You have to use it in conjunction with other stuff.
Okay. Got some right here in front of me.
They're not red, Michael. They're not really your paints. Come on, be honest.
They're not. Contrast paints, similar to Jason said, they're very useful. Don't use them on flat surfaces. They're really good on textured surfaces. And they're really good as using them as something that they're not intended for. Using them as a watered down glaze works really well to tie together various other colours. Lots of uses, not necessarily the one they're made for.
Don't be afraid to mix them.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to thin them down either.
Huh? Yeah. Don't be afraid. Have a play.
Don't be afraid. I mean, for me, the big one is just you have to be kind of neat from the get-go. My painting method is start untidy and get tidier as you get to the more detailed things. So it just doesn't work for me at all. But you know, I'm a speed painter. Michael, Clueless Mike, where did you get up to today? What have you achieved?
I mean, you'll be shocked by this. I have applied these 3 different shades of red to my model in different layers of highlights.
So
we've gone from dark red to normal red to Wild Rider red, all the way up to Trolls Lair orange. So there we go.
Very nice. And what about you, Jace?
Wow,
he's probably painted an army.
I guess you'll have to watch my painting diary video.
Oh, that's clever.
So that's 2 minutes ago, there's one more little secret about Jason's painting technique, which I'll share with you guys towards the end, because those of them that know him a bit. And Jason and I have actually never met. We've met online, even though he's long-time friends with these other 2 guys, and we live quite close. We've never met face-to-face.
No, that's lie. We haven't met face-to-face.
When?
At the gaming club in Luton. You were playing 40k with someone, and I was playing Blood Bowl.
Did we meet? I think that we'd ever said hello.
One of you is obviously more memorable than the other.
Yeah,
I think what he means is you've not met. You've not like actually sat down and conversed and got the the feel of each other.
I came over to the table and said hello.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So you've met, but just as a.
But although Jason does a lot of commission painting, he's actually got a gig. He's got a plan. Which is I didn't realize is Jason, you do the block out the colors, and then for the highlights and the flourishes, what do you then do?
You've confused him. He hands it to his missus, right?
Yeah, he gives it the color.
It depends on how detailed I want to go.
Lies. He hands it over to me.
If you get a miniature from Jason and it's got eyes painted on it, Carla's done.
Carla, Jason's long-suffering wife, apparently does a lot of the really detailed stuff. Is that not true? I mean, that's an amazing gig that you got.
But the thing is, it's like I've said before, she's a better painter than I am. The only problem is she's extremely slow. So if we had to rely on her, we'd get 1 miniature a month done.
I mean,
So
this is a difficult conversation, isn't it? Because she sat right opposite now the table.
Yeah. The only reason she's not swearing at me is because you guys are here.
You can swear at you in Afrikaans.
Unfortunately, those words sound pretty much the same in any language.
We've watched Precinct 13. We know what swearing in Afrikaans sounds like. I was in District 13, whichever one it was, with the prawns.
One of them, the one with the prawns in it.
One with the prawns. Hey, so guys, that is all we've got time for. We're gonna see more of Jason in the future. Clueless might obviously be here for some Warhammer content next week. We have got Jamstrap TV on the show, who does a lot of kit bashing for 40k. So I'm gonna have a bit more 40k themed show. I'm especially fond of him. He likes to do make his own beards for his Space Wolves and stuff like that. But he's not just like, oh, I stuck this different head on from a Blood Angel kit. He's gives a lot of green stuff work and uses the rolling pins with the textures on and so forth. So guys, I hope you've enjoyed the show. District 9 says James Workshop. That was, if you've not seen it, that is an awesome science fiction movie.
Apparently there's a second one coming.
Oh mate, we got to do like a live reaction show on that.
Yeah,
That's been coming for years though. Sigourney Weaver was supposed to be in it, wasn't she?
We're all just going to stand there screaming prawns in our best South African, aren't we?
I can only say about 3 words in South African, and that's now what is it? It's diplomatic immunity.
Really bad. On that cheerful note, do you want to give us a traditional South African farewell, Jason?
Tot ziens, julle.
Good night, guys, and thank you for watching. Bye-bye.
Take care all.
Bye.